Welcome to lesson 6 of my CSS beginner series. In this lesson, we're going to learn about CSS selectors. In CSS, we have 5 basic selectors. The first one is CSS element selector. We have CSS ID selector. We have CSS class selector. We have CSS universal selector. And we have CSS grouping selector. Before we start this lesson, let's look at what selectors are. A CSS selector is used to select the elements we want to style. This may not make sense. Let me take you to the code editor and demonstrate these 5 selectors in CSS. Let's begin. I will first of all create an HTML file called selectors.html. Hit enter, and then we create our CSS file called style.css. Hit enter. Let's go to our HTML file, and then we write our bare bones structure of our HTML code, and this is how it should look like. Okay, this is a link connecting to our CSS file. The first selector we're going to be talking about is CSS element selector. Before I can demonstrate this, let's go to our code editor. And as you can see, we have body, opening and closing of body. Let's write h2 tag, and then inside here we put something like CSS selectors like this. We come down and write our paragraph, so p tag, and then we put something here. We are learning CSS selectors like this. Good. So we have body, heading, and paragraph. Fantastic. Now let's demonstrate CSS element selectors. But before we continue, let me change our heading to something like CSS elements selectors. This will help us understand it visually. Okay, so that is it. Let's continue. With an element selector, we select these elements, the elements by their names. If we were to style our body, we simply select our body. Okay, we make use of the name body. So we go to CSS, and inside this CSS file, we simply type the name of the element called body like this, pull it down, and then write our styling. Let me take you back. With CSS element selectors, anytime you want to style something like this, a heading, you simply use the name of the tag. Okay, in this case it's h2. So we go to our style, documents, come down, and then we put h2 there like this. Good. Let's go back to our HTML document. If you want to style your paragraph, you make use of this p tag. So we go to our CSS file, come beneath here and write P there. Good. CSS element selector selects HTML elements based on their names. So that means we select HTML elements based on their names. Body is an HTML element. You go to your CSS file and then you put body. H2 is an HTML element. You go to your CSS file and put H2 there. P is an HTML element. You go to your CSS file and then put P there. So this selects HTML elements based on their names. To help you understand visually, let's go ahead and then style our document. So this is where I'm going to open my document, and this is selectors.html. I'll simply click on it, and as you can see, this is the heading, CSS element selectors, and we have our paragraph here, and this white area all is what? The body. Okay, so let's clear everything here and start afresh. Good. We set CSS element selectors select elements based on their names. So first thing we're going to style is our body. So we're going to select it based on the name of it, which is body. I'll take you to CSS file and I'll put my body there because that's the name of the element, body. Now we're going to give it a color. So we give it a background color. So type background color and then you put aqua. This is my favorite background color. Now let's go to our web browser, reload, and as you can see, everything works fine. Let's work on our H2. So I'll take you back here and then I'll take you to selectors.html, and this time we're going to style our heading. Because we are working with CSS element selectors, we're going to select the name. We're going to make use of the name of the element, which is H2. So I'll take it to CSS file. We come down and then we put H2 there. Open it up and pull it down. Good. This time we're going to give it a font family. Okay, so we're going to style our H2. So we'll give it font family called cursive. Okay, so put cursive. Let's reload this page. Take notice of the text. So when I reload, you can see the style of this text has changed. So that's H2 tag we use. Let me take it to selectors.html, and this time we're going to work, or we're going to style our paragraph. So make use of this p tag, which is CSS element selectors, because we are selecting the elements to style. I hope the point is now clear. So go to CSS file, and because we're working on the p tag, we put p there, open it up, and this time we're going to give it a background color of, let's say, white, like this. Good. So our paragraph is now going to have a background color white. Reload, and as you can see, there's a background color here white. So that is CSS element selectors. Very, very simple. Let's discuss the second CSS element selector, called ID selector. So in this part of the video, we're going to talk about CSS ID selectors. Let me take you to the code editor. And then, first of all, we have to clear our code and then start afresh. I'll take you to my selectors.html file. And this time, we're going to specify our IDs. But before that, let's change this text to ID selectors. Inside our H2, let's put an attribute called ID equal to quotation good. Our paragraph, let's go inside, put another ID equal to quotation like this, and then our body, let's go inside and give it ID equal to and quotation. So these are three elements: body, H2 and P tag, with ID inside each of them. So before we continue, what is an ID selector? ID selectors use ID attribute to select a specific element to be used for styling. So this is an attribute called ID. Take note, an ID should be unique on a web page. So you can have something like, let's give this a name. Okay, so we're going to give it a name, ID name. So let's say, okay, let's just give it something like this, color. So this is an ID, color, or you can put your name there as ID. It doesn't matter. Okay, you can put, so something like 1 is an ID, but you can have 1 here, come here and have another 1, come here and have another 1. It will not work. So an ID must be unique on a website. So let's make this ID 1. Let's give this ID's name like 2. Okay, so something like 2, and then we give our third ID 3, like this. Okay, so an ID must be unique on a web page like this. So we have ID 1, ID 2 and ID 3. You can have ID 1, ID 1, ID 1, or ID 2, ID 2, ID 2, or ID 3, ID 3 and ID 3. It doesn't work that way. So make sure your IDs are different. That's why it's called an ID. It's just like your national ID card. The numbers that are on it must be unique, and it should be different from another person's ID card. Okay, so that's just the whole idea I'm trying to put across. So now we have our IDs 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and style our body, our H2 and our P tag using IDs. But first off, let's go to our browser and then reload and clear our CSS element selectors. Okay, good. So now we are now working with what? We are now working with ID selectors and not element selectors. Okay, so put that in your mind. Good. Now we're going to style our web page, which is this one, using IDs instead of element selectors. So how do we do that? We go to our CSS file, and this time we're going to make use of our IDs. Okay, so we're going to first of all give our body a background color called aqua with the help of an ID and not this element. Okay, this is an element and this is an ID. Okay, so first we looked at the body. we looked at the element itself, and that's element selector. But this time we're not going to look at ID selector. So we're going to use an ID, this one, and not this one. Okay, I hope it's clear. Good. So let's go inside, but before that, take notice of this name. Okay, this is the name we're going to be using, 1. Okay, so go to your CSS, and then before you can make use of ID, you need to put a hash character like this, and then put the name of the ID, which is 1, like this. Open it up, pull it down. Good. So hash 1 is referring to this ID, okay. So we're going to give it a background color called aqua. Good. Let me take you to our web browser. Let's reload, and as you can see, our background color has changed to aqua with the help of an ID. Okay, let's continue. I'll take you to selectors.html. Our second ID is called 2, okay, which is pointing to h2, which is our heading. All right, meaning if you make use of this ID, h2 is going to be affected. Likewise, ID3. If you style ID3, this whole paragraph, okay, this p tag all will be affected. So we're going to style our h2 with the help of this ID, which is 2. So I'll take you to style.css, and then we come down. Please come down and then put hash character, and then you put 2 here. Pull it down this way, and this time we're going to give it a font size 30 pixels. Okay, so you can see this is heading 2 with an ID called 2, and with this text CSS ID selectors. Now when I take you to our browser, you can see CSS ID selectors. When we reload this page, this particular text is going to be affected because we applied the effect on this particular text, and this is where ID 2 is. So when we reload, you can see CSS ID selectors has been affected and the text has increased in size. So that is it. Let's go ahead and then work on ID3, which is our paragraph. So you go to your style.css, come down and put hash character, and then we put 3 here. After that, we pull it down this way, and this time we're going to give it a background color. So we put background color of what? White, like this. Good. So this is an ID and is pointing to our paragraph. So when we go to our web browser and reload this page, this particular paragraph or text will be affected because this is a paragraph. Okay, so we reload this page, and as you can see, this paragraph is affected with a background color of white. So that is ID selectors in CSS. Let's look at the other CSS selectors. So I'll take you there, and we're going to be looking at CSS class selectors. Starting from afresh, let's change our text from CSS ID selectors to CSS class. So we put class, selectors, and then we remove our IDs. So we remove our ID. And then finally, ID 3. Good. We go to our CSS document, clear everything. So clear everything like this. Good. So we are now starting from afresh. This is CSS class selectors. I'll take you to our web browser and reload. You can see we are now working on a fresh page, which is CSS class selectors. Let's begin. First off, we're going to give our background a color with the help of a class. So a class is an attribute. So we put class here equal to, just like we did to our IDs. So you put class, and here you give it a name. So you can say class 1 or first class. Okay, you can also put 1, 2, 3. So let's say this is our first class. Let's put first there. So something like this, first. We go to the h2 tag, put class here equal to, inside the code, let's put second class, and then our p tag, you put class here equal to, here put third. Okay, so put third class. So this is the third. So we have 3 classes: first, second, and third. Now we're going to give our page a background color of aqua with the help of a class. So a class helps us select elements based on specific class names. Okay, so we're going to style our web page. We're going to give it a background color called aqua, and right now you can see our background color is white. There's nothing going inside here. So we're going to style our web page and give it a background color. I'll go to my style.css, and then we're going to select our classes. In our case, is this class. This is first. Okay, so we're going to call the name of the class, which is first. But before you can work with classes, you need to put something like this, a dot. Okay, so this is how you call a class. An ID is called using the hash character. With classes, we use dot like this. Okay, so you put dot, and then you put first there, first, because your class is called first. This is the name of it, first. But because it's a class, you put dot. So after putting dot, you open it like as usual, and then we're going to give it a background color called aqua. Go ahead and type your own colors. Good. Now we're going to our web browser. Let's reload, and as you can see, our background color has changed to aqua with the help of class. Let's work on our second class. So I'll take you to selectors, and our second class is on our h2 tag, which is second. So all we need to do is to go to our style.css, come outside and put dot, because it's a class. Okay, so put dot and put second there, the name of your class, which is second. And because it's an h2 tag, there's text there, so we're going to give it something like a font size. Okay, we're going to give it a font size, let's say 40 pixels, so 40 px. Now let's go to our web browser, reload this page, and as you can see, the text has increased in size with the help of CSS classes. So the main point here is with CSS class, you put dot before the name of the what? The class. Unlike IDs, where you put a hash character before the name. And finally, we work on our paragraph, which is on the third class. So put dot and you put third. Okay. So just put third there. Open it. And we're going to give it a background color of what? White. And then we go to our browser, reload, and as you can see, there's background color here, white. That is it. That's classes. Let's talk about the fourth selector, which is universal selector in CSS. With the universal selector, it selects all elements on a web page. Let's go ahead and practice with this kind of selector. So I'll take you to the web browser, sorry, the code editor, and then let's clear everything here. And this is the CSS file. Let's go to HTML, and then we clear our classes. Finally, on the body, like this. Perfect. Now, how do you work on a universal selector? Let's go to our CSS file, and with the universal selector, it uses the star character. Okay, star. You open it up, and this means it's going to apply, or you're working on the whole document. When you put star, it means the whole document is going to be affected. So when you even put star here and put background color, the whole document is going to be affected. So let's put background color this way, and then we give it aqua. But before that, let's go and clear. Let's go to our web browser and then clear what is here. Okay, let's clear what is here. Good. We have cleared what is inside here. Let's go to our HTML document, and then in this text to universal selector. Good. So now let's continue working on our universal selector. So when you put a star symbol here, going to be applied, or any style you put here is going to be applied to the whole web page. We put aqua, and then we go to our browser, reload this page, and as you can see, it works. So anything you put there is going to be applied to every element on the web page. Let's put font size. Okay, so font size as 40 pixels, and this font size is going to be affected, or is going to be applied to every element here. So that means H2 is going to have the same 40 pixels, P tag is going to have the same 40 pixels, and any other element on the page is going to be affected. So that's the meaning of a universal selector. Let's go to our browser, reload this page, and as you can see, this is a heading and it has 40 pixels. This is our paragraph and it also has 40 pixels. So anything you put inside a universal selector is going to be applied to every element on the web page. That is universal selectors. Let's go ahead and talk about the final type of selector, which is CSS grouping selector. Let's look at the fifth type of CSS selectors called grouping selectors. This is a type of selectors that is used to group HTML elements with the same styling properties. Let's demonstrate it with the help of our code. So first of all, I will clear everything here. And then I'll go to my CSS file and then clear everything. Now let's go back to our HTML document and then we write h1 like this, and I'll put text here, something like, let's say, welcome to. I'll come down and put h2 here, which is heading 2. My YouTube channel we come down and put h3, okay, like this, and put text there. Please subscribe. We come down and then this time I'm going to put a p tag, which is a paragraph. On this channel, I teach web development. Good. So we created 3 or 4 tags, which is h1, h2, h3, and p tag, with text inside each tag. Okay. Now let me take you to our web browser, and then I'll go there and show you what is happening. Let's reload, and as you can see, we have welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. On this channel, I teach web development. Okay. Now, every line of text is inside a tag. Okay. Good. Now we're going to give our text color. Okay. So just bear with me because I'm going to use this to explain something. All right. We have h1. We're going to give h1 red color, and then we're going to give it a font size. Okay, so let's go to our style. Inside here, our first tag is going to be h1 like this, and we're going to give h1 color. So that's color, that's our text color. Color of what? Red, like this. Good. And we want to also align our text to the center. Okay, so text alignment, so text align will be equal to what? Type center, center, this way. Let's go to a web browser. Let's reload this page, and as you can see, welcome to is red and it has been aligned center. We want to do that to the rest of our code, our text. Okay, so to do so, go to your HTML document, and we are done with h1. It's left with h2. So we're going to style h2. We simply go to style.css, come down and put h2 there, this way. Inside it, we put color, and then we give it red color, just like the first one, like this. And then with text align center, like this. We go to our web browser, reload, and as you can see, our second line of text is also aligned center, and the text too is red. Let's continue. The next one is H3. So we put H3 here. Color red. Text align. Center. Let's go back to our browser, reload, and as you can see, our third line is also affected. And finally, this is our P tag. Okay, so this is our P tag, which is here. P. Okay, so go inside there, come down and put P here. We're going to give it a color red, and then we're going to text align it center. Go to your web browser, reload, and you can see all our text is aligned center with red color. Good. This is very, very good. Now we could have saved ourselves a lot of time doing this whole thing, because each one has the same color and alignment, which is center alignment. H2 the same color with center alignment. H3 the same color, center alignment. P tag the same color, center alignment. This is where CSS grouping selectors come in. So the best way to handle this problem is to use the grouping method. So we're going to group H1, H2, H3, and P tag at one place. So let's come down this way. Okay, good. So let's write H1, put comma. Okay, H2, put comma. H3, put comma. So this is grouping. Okay, and then finally you put P tag. This will handle our tags. You can see H1, H2, H3, and P. They're all here. So this is how you handle that problem. After that, you open it up this way, like this, and then you give them the same color, like this. And then you give it red color. And finally, you give it what? Text alignment. So text align center. Now you can see this small piece of code is the same as this big code. So with CSS grouping selector, it helps us minimize our code. Okay, now to prove to you that it works, let me remove everything and then leave our minimized code like this. So technically what is happening here is we selected all our tags, which is H1, H2, H3, and P, which is inside here, H1, H2, H3, and P. We group them using the comma. You can see that. And then because they have the same attributes, the same color, and the same alignment, we group them inside one area. And this has helped us minimize our code and also save us time. Now let's go to our web browser, reload, and everything should remain the same because it's the same as our first code. When you reload, everything is the same. You can see that. Reload, everything is the same. You can see. Good. So that is it. That's CSS grouping. So this brings us to the end of lesson 6. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in my next episode where we're going to be talking about syntax in CSS. See you there.